I'm really excited to do this because Ryan is my manager, and he's done so many things in the company that I have to read this. So Ryan Messer is currently the district manager of the Dayton, Ohio district, and he's in the cardiovascular metabolism division of J&J. Ryan joined J&J in 1998 as a sales representative after working as an assistant to the governor back then, Evan Bayh. Over the past 18 years at J&J, Ryan has been promoted to positions of greater responsibility in both the Pharmaceutical and Medical Device divisions. He has held roles in field sales marketing, marketing creation, and professional education. He has also led several high-level projects for J&J. So with this all being said, you can see why Ryan was asked to present at our personal branding event tonight. It is an honor and a privilege to introduce my manager, Ryan Messer.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. If I could have the folks on my team stand up. I just want to say, this is why I get out of bed every day, is to have leaders like this who take on responsibilities like this. As I was telling Bill, it was about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we sat around our table and we decided that we probably were the most diverse team at Johnson & Johnson. Being gay as a DM already makes me an N of 1 that I know of in all of Janssen, frankly, and maybe if anybody's got people in other divisions, it's the only one I know of that is out. And then having a team, we're about 70% African American, and we did have our token white straight guy on the team, and he would always say, I'm diverse too because I'm a pastor and you know I'm very progressive. So we gave Rudy his little star, and actually Rudy's gone on to be a full-time pastor, which we're excited about. But anyway, it's an honor to be here tonight. Yeah, over the past 17 years, I've had lots of opportunity to interact with several of you in the room. I think about the early days when I was a trainer back in New Jersey, and there was a rep who was just knocking the sales out. Like, national share of this launch was like at 0.6%, and somebody had like a 20% share. And they're like, fly to Philadelphia and go figure out what this guy named Brian Fickle's doing. So I land out there, it's like literally, it's like my second or third week as a trainer, and then here he is right here and continue to go on. Bill, back in the, we were doing the negotiation, or we did some negotiation, but then some additional training when we partnered with Ethicon Endosurgery. We launched the pill cam and some things there. But yeah, lots of familiar faces from back in those early days and then all the way through. What I'm here to talk a little bit about today is personal branding. And, you know, I think there's a great quote or an adage that people say, you know, you hear, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That's like so 1988. So that then got updated. It's not what you know, it's who knows you. And then I think that that should be then further advanced. It's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's what people think about when they know you. So what is that that comes to mind when they see your face? What do you stand for? What do you represent? I'm having a personal kind of go through this myself because I will be running for Cincinnati City Council. And I've got to be thinking about what is my personal brand, not just now at work, but across my community. So I've been going through a lot of this with some of my consultants and people that are working with me to figure out how I communicate that in a broader sense. But whether you're doing that in a doctor's office, whether you're doing that at a cycle meeting, whether you're sitting down with the president because you were invited to come in to do a special project, how you represent that personal brand is important. But before you can represent it, you got to know what that is. So I see that maybe a lot of people are eating, those types of things, and I don't want to embarrass folks, but I will do a little bit. Who'd like to just tell me what your personal brand is? If somebody said, what's your personal brand, what would you say?
I'll go.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All the way from Alabama.
You can use me as probably an example of what not to do. That's okay.
Never.
So my personal brand would be somebody that's passionately focused on the job that we do, delivering a wraparound service for patients, that also compassionately make sure our providers and treatment teams that we work with know all about our products and program at Janssen.
Very good. Good. Okay. Now, the only thing I'd say about that, that's a lot about kind of what you do, but is it a lot about who you are personally? So I want you to think about that as we go through the workshop. Who else wants to kind of give a little personal brand statement? Thanks for doing that. Brian?
We did this back when I was in pleasantly persistent.
Good. That's great. Pleasantly persistent. Yeah.
I'm what you call a servant leader who's ready and willing to serve in any capacity that I'm needed, while also recognizing when it's time to leave.
Good. Excellent. So, how many people said, I'm not sure what I'd say if you actually called my name? Anybody? Okay, good. That's at least we'll hopefully have some progress, because my goal is that when we're done and I see Millie hold up the sign saying you got to get off that stage, I wish I had a stage, I could be a little bit taller, that you have something locked and loaded, or at least are on the path to doing that. And then so what? So what do you do with it? I have the good luck that I have not only an incredible team, but they're also being sourced for positions of greater responsibility in the organization. And one thing that we are working on with the 3 people that are in different phases of the interview process now for promotions is, how are you representing yourself? How are you communicating that? And how do you kind of put that together? And we have a tool called the career plan, or the, not the career plan, it's the personal statement, basically. And it's a one-pager. It came out of an opportunity when I was a national sales director at Ethicon Endosurgery. You sometimes go through these times where you have to do a right sizing or a market correction on your field sales deployment, which all means we're downsizing, in case you didn't get that from the flowery language that they often refer to it with. But that being said, I wanted to do things a little bit differently, and I had these 50 incredible people that were just as great as everybody else. It just, there wasn't a spot once we did a complete reorg. And typically, we'd gone down those paths where everybody gets called into a room and it's like, you've been displaced, here's some resources, you can go to the website. I thought, what if we do this a little differently? I could get the resumes and send them out, but it's like, who's gonna go through 3-page resumes? And some of you probably have 4 pages. How do you get kind of that all-in-one, like, wow statement to get somebody's attention? And so this career profile is what it's called, and I'll be happy to share this with anyone. Basically, it's got your name, and then right below that, which we got the most feedback on, is I had all the 50 do it, and we sent that out, and I personally followed up with all the VPs of sales throughout J&J, and all but one of them got placed. And that was a non-regrettable loss, I will assure you. But everybody else found a home, and I see them around now, and I believe it's because we clearly tailored what is the value they bring to the organization and communicated in a very strategic and concise way. So it had their name at the top, but it went right to the personal brand. And that was a really exciting part of this career profile that we got the most feedback in. I really saw from that statement what this person stood for. So what I want to do is kind of start that tonight to make sure that you've got right under your name the ability to communicate what it is you stand for. I will say that mine, and my team could tell you yes or no if I live this each and every day, but I am strategically innovative. I believe in, there are no rules until I'm told there are rules, strategically. So you don't just do things kind of crazy just because. You try to think out of the box or in new and different ways very strategically to your business. People-focused accountability. I want to make sure that we are accountable in doing our jobs and everybody achieving what they need to, but it's in a people-focused way. It's not kind of that hard edge, forget about the people side. And then I'm collaboratively results-focused. So it's not that it's all about me, it's how do you get everybody around the table focused on achieving results. So hopefully, when we're done with this, you'll start to be down the path of being able to say that. All right, so can I just click here? All right. So when you look at this Tide bottle, what do you think about? Anybody? What are the words that come to mind? Clean? Expensive? Procter & Gamble? Yep. How are you doing? I didn't get to give it. I'll get it. Anybody else? I mean, this is one, I remember in college, you could it looked like water coming out of the $1.99 one that I could afford. When I went to Johnson & Johnson and got that first kind of real big boy paycheck, I said, I will never have anything but Tide. This is what I thought this is what rich people wash their clothes in, and that was it. I would eat ramen noodles before I'd get rid of my Tide. There's some brand loyalty there, but I think those things of clean, fresh, expensive, kind of that premium, you think about that. What about BMW? Michelle? Status. High performance. Ultimate driving machine. So definitely conjuring up some words that just readily come. You just see it and that's what you think about. Okay? My guess is they were probably very strategic in how they do that. So, so here's some folks. Let's start with the guy in the red shirt. Now, I say that he just wasn't good enough to be able to coach at Purdue, but what do you think about Bobby Knight? What's that? Old school? Passionate? Aggressive? What's that? Structure? Disciplinarian? Anger management? Focused on winning at all costs? Chair throwing? Anybody remember that? I mean, to me, I think of Bobby Knight chair throwing. So sometimes you can do something one time that's so big, that becomes part of your brand that people think about when they see your name. What about the guy down with the white hair? Father? Dollar bill? What's that? Cherry blossoms? Leadership? Okay, so words that definitely come to mind. Now the question is, let's go to the top left.
Right now.
What's that? Trailblazer. Pardon me? Healthcare. What's that? Trey. Oh, really? Oh, wow. What else? Pardon me? Intelligent. Okay. Pardon me? Family oriented. Now, what if we had Hillary Clinton? Let's go deep. Benghazi? What else?
Cold.
Bright?
Cold.
Cold? What was that?
Her survey.
Her emails? All right. What about Donald Trump?
Goofy.
Goofy? Rich? Arrogant? How he is ever a contender is beyond me. I literally, and I don't want to go political, but that is so unbelievable to me. I still feel like we're being punked right now, and they're going to go, psych! He's not really running. It's a reality TV show, and you are the stars. So I wanted to show these because whether you know it or not, this happens with your mug up here, right? Once a year, DMs get together and they say, I always feel like I'm the attorney, which I wanted to be attorney at one point in my life, that I go in with, I prepare files. Yeah.
Ryan, you said you had a degree. Who's the lower left?
Oh. Do you know who that is? Kristen Chenoweth. Yeah. What I'm trying to do is play to the diversity of our audiences. We got sports, we've got American history, we got politics, and Broadway. She was the one who was the very first Galinda in Wicked. Yeah, Galinda. She was really good. And then she was in that RV movie and lots of other shows. What's that? And Glee. She was in Glee, of course. But yeah, I didn't mean to overlook.
Just having a discussion.
Yeah, Daryl Hannah. I love that. That's good. Wasn't she in that movie with the mermaid? I think. Yeah. But as I say, so I go with all my materials ready to present my case about the people that I'm representing as their manager. And as good as you have all that information, and I like to spring it on them, I lay down files. Like, here, let me show you what all the things they've done. Now argue about what I've just presented about my folks. Never fails. Picture goes up. They're like, I interacted. I just didn't see leadership coming out as we were at our cycle meeting. I mean, they were kind of on the sidebar over here, and they were complaining about the food, which is rich people problems. And then somebody else says, now that you said that. And so it all starts to fall down. Everything I put up, if people haven't lived into their brand. So it is important for you to be not only owning your brand, but controlling your brand. Those of you who have had roles in marketing, what we do in marketing is you establish your brand, and then you do brand assessment studies. And you're sending out customers, hey, what do you think about our product? You go through qualitative, quantitative interviews and surveys trying to get brand feedback, and they bring that in. Hey, they think we're not safe. We better do a sales aid to help communicate safe. So if you're thinking about yourself like you are thinking about your product, you're probably on the right track. Okay. So what do you want to think about, or what do you want people to think about when they think about you? Now, did everybody get a copy of this Harvard Business Review article? Did everybody get that? And maybe if people don't have a copy of this, that we send this, or get this out to all of you. So this one is an oldie but a goodie. But really what this will help you do is go a little bit deeper in personal brand, but then we're going to jump to kind of some of the activity together since I'm talking you through some of the upfront part as we work through your brand today. So I think we've talked about these bullets up here, but the things that your leadership brand should declare is your identity, why you're unique, what's different about you than somebody sitting next to you. It shows your value to the organization and where you might be able to fill a role or complement a team. Shows what you can do, and then allows you to focus on what delivers your brand, and also make sure that you're protecting that brand by not doing things that would take away from that. So what I'd like us to do is, if you'll turn into the article here, and so what I'd like you to do is see this page 4 is what it's numbered, and it's all these words started with analytical and ending in values driven. So if you're standing as an observer at the year-end performance reviews, and you have the ability to control what instantly comes to everybody's mind when they see your photo, what 6 words would you want them to think about? Which 6 words best declare your brand? So what I'd like you to do is circle them. Circle the 6 words, and then prioritize them. In what order of importance are they? There's also 6 more words just on the page right before we cut off a few of the A's. If there's anything on there you'd like to select. Everybody feeling pretty good about that? Okay, so this is just personal brand light. You can spend some more time later. But now what I'd like you to do is just kind of on the back, just on the very back here, I want you to put those words together with kind of an LY on the first one. So remember, I wanted to be strategic and innovative. So find the ones that kind of go together. So I want to be strategically innovative. People-focused accountability. That one actually didn't have to have an LY. But try to put them together to come up with 2-word statements. Okay, who would be willing to share what you've come up with? Anybody?
Because I just walked in the door.
Yeah.
I'll share.
Yeah. Good. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
I would say bright, creative, and I'll just start leaving these, fun-loving. I would say energetic, compassionate. How many did you need?
6.
Self-confident, trustworthy, and I would say my customers will say I was knowledgeable on my product.
Good. Good. So one thing that we talked about that we were actually we were now putting those together into the statements with the LY connector. Who would you like to? I saw you working awfully hard. What's your first name? Jamil. Yeah. Thank you.
I said respectively knowledgeable, compassionately committed, and responsibly trustworthy.
Good. That's great. Yeah. How are you putting them together? Yeah.
So I have the 6, even-tempered, prepared, confident, intimate, decisive, and enthusiastic. And then confidently decisive, intimately prepared.
Good. So, the getting them together is kind of the first spot. Now, how many people look at that and say, I'm 100%, let me say it another way. How many people look at that brand statement and say, I'm 100% there, and everybody would say that about me?
I think it's always different. I think that's something you're going to have to ask people what they think about. I've had a mentor in the past, and when a person in a position, ask people close to you what they think and see if it really reflects what you think. So I don't know that it would always, this is what I perceive myself to be, but that's part of that.
Excellent. Right. So we may have something in our head that may not always match what people think yet. So there is, these things are fluid, they're not static, and you have a lot more control than you have any idea. But the first step is to measure it, just like we would with, as a marketing brand manager, that you're getting ready to launch a product, and you want to get kind of people's perceptions when they hear about the product. What comes to mind? When you've been out for a year and you bring customers, now that they've touched and experienced, what do they think about? And if it's not what you want it to be, then you can go out and change that through sales tools, through sharing information and data, which is the same thing that you should be doing yourself. Now, how do you do that? Well, you could do it very simply by handing these words to your partner, your spouse, your neighbor, a doctor that you work with, Which 6 of these would you do? Now, one thing we'll send as a follow-up, there is a great website that does this kind of electronically. And what I recommend to people is, don't just stop with your coworkers. Add your loved ones, neighbors, if you're on boards or things in the community. You can load all their email addresses, and it basically sends them an email and says, I'm looking to do some personal development work, and I'd love to have your input. Please rank 6 of the following words, and they fill it all out. And then it's got some funny questions at the bottom. They give you also some additional information that because of the data they have in their database, they help kind of tell you what that means. But it'll say if this person were a car, what car would they be? If this person were a cereal, what cereal would they be? Really interesting questions that people are like, what? But it is fascinating by what they pick. Fruit Loops could be one thing, but if you are grape nuts, I mean, you're regular, Cheerios. But anyway, the point is, this can give you a lot of insight into how you are perceived. Yeah.
I was a trainer in my last job.
Yeah.
And I would go around and ask, go to your children and ask them whether they're 5 or 25, what are 3 words that describe you? And it was surprising, what are you most of things look forward to, mommy? I'm thinking number 1 is me, but number 1 was work. Their perception, because you're the closest person to them.
Yeah.
So what do I do if someone closest to me has that perception? Okay, at work, that's a good perception. But your children, they're innocent. They really don't
Sure.
care what you think.
Right.
Which is amazing how I think that this is how she perceived me. She didn't. We went around the room with that with her spouse, if you're together and your children, it was amazing the feedback that you get. And it's something that I personally work on, and maybe I need to put her make her feel more important. Because when I first got this job, she said, Mommy, you must really love your new iPad. And I'm like, well, why? She said, because you're always on it. I was taking it to the swim meet.
Sure.
I was taking it, to, if I had lunch with her, I took it everywhere with me, so what can I do to tailor my brain for my child?
Absolutely.
Perception, and I think it's the same thing.
Very good. So however you seek input, it really should come from all facets of your life. And if you've been through the Human Performance Institute, it talks about not just focusing on work, not just focusing on family, not just focusing on self or community. It's kind of that holistic, and how do you balance it all? You've got to check your brand in all aspects. So this free website, you go in, log in, submit the emails, they go out, you get it back. And whether you want to share that with your manager, whether you want to share that with a peer friend here in this group to kind of go through that. But then what happens is you create kind of a gap analysis. If I want to be strategically innovative, and I hear from people that all you do is the same old thing, you won't let people, you're not creative, I got a problem. So there are a variety of things in there as you get that feedback that you can create this gap analysis and then say, how can I best represent this? I know one person that I have coached and worked with for a long time, and they want to be strategic, but I don't know that anybody saw that they were strategic. And so we worked on, well, how can you show that? And the person said, well, I offer up those ideas. Well, unless you communicate your process, why you came up with that idea. So kind of explaining and communicating the same information and just putting it in context will start to create how people then observe that and then build that brand. Any other comments as you were going through this? Yeah.
A lot of us have gone through HBI, and I think whether you do it formally in an HBI process or you send an email or whatever you're going to do, I think the most important thing is, thank you.
is have an open mind and heart to what you're hearing. Because a lot of times we'll ask for feedback and we're like, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But that is their perception. And I think a lot of times I've seen this go by the wayside and really not be valuable to someone. They're like, no, I am strategic or I am innovative. But if people don't see you that way, that presents somewhat of an issue as you're moving forward. So I think more than anything, if I could help people just take it and just let it roll over you and not take it personally, is probably the best advice that I've received in my life around when you're getting this feedback. Because I think it's been very valuable for me to go through the process and not take it personally and kind of adjust some things. So
good. Thank you. Any other observations or thoughts as you completed this? So I know I got my little I kind of did this already. So just living into your brand. So you leave here. I mean, you could do nothing, or you could start to build that career profile that starts with your name and you put that brand in there. And the other things that are on the list, we all have at our fingertips. Most of us have gone through Strengths Finders. You put that in. And then often we forget to think about the things that we're skilled at. So I'm skilled at building business plans. I'm skilled at developing territory business plans that yield results. I'm skilled at launching new products. I'm skilled at whatever. And there's another line that's I'm experienced at selling medical devices, selling in certain specialties. So you list all of those. And I think in that, and then what you communicate then in the last bucket is, in my next position, I would like to what? And list those things. And putting all this together in kind of a one-sheet summary of kind of your career, who you are, where you've been, but where you want to go, will help prepare you for any opportunity. And I think as a hiring manager, if someone walked in and was able to communicate that succinctly, that I didn't have to guess all these things, well, I think from what I hear, sounds like they're pretty results-oriented. It sounds like they're strategic, I think, because I try to get that example. If I go to page 5 or 10 of their resume, I think I can find they're experienced at this. What you're doing is laying down who you are, what you stand for, where you're going, and then you have this to kind of continue and build from and work from, edit, change, because it will evolve. I will tell you, there was a point in my career, I was ready to be the youngest operating company president. I was getting promoted every kind of 18 months, ready to go. And then I led the project that combined the Ethicon Endosurgery and Ethicon Inc. And they said, well, we'd like you to, you're doing a great job. Your position's moved to New Jersey. And for those of you who know me, I am lock solid into Cincinnati. That is a part of who I am. I just wasn't going to go anywhere. And so you change that. So I had a little bit of a different reroute in how that career plan was laid out, the things that were in there, and how I communicated that. So don't be afraid to change it and alter it or grow with it. But the most important thing is you go through the exercise and that you're communicating that with the people around you, most importantly your partners and your manager. And then you're seeking that feedback so that you can not only ensure that you're living the brand, but if you're not exactly being perceived in the way that you are wanting to present yourself, that you're putting that gap analysis, putting that exercise in place so you can get to that brand that you want people to think about. And this, I will tell you, will make you lots of money at Johnson & Johnson, because once you figure out what that brand is, once you clearly determine where you're going and all that stuff, you'll be at your top performing potential. But when your name goes up at the end of the year and people are sitting around figuring out, what is their annual rank going to be? You're going to be ranked in a higher level if you're performing, and people, not only do they know you, but there are things they know when they think about you that come to mind, and those are the people that end up with options, and those are the people that are getting promoted. So personal brand is very important. Any questions before we wrap up? So I love talking about this type of thing. If you have any questions, follow up, You can go to JEDS and find name, date, serial number. I'd love to talk with you about it. And then I'll make sure that the team has not only the link that you can send out, but I'll also give you a copy of my career profile in case that would be of interest. Thanks, everybody.